International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors have been forcibly expelled from Iran's Fordow fuel enrichment plant. This is not a negotiation tactic. This is a door being slammed shut. Hours later, intelligence agencies confirmed the unthinkable. Iran has achieved 90% uranium enrichment, weapons grade. The breakout time has collapsed to 0. But as the world braces for impact, one critical question cuts through the noise. Is this the final, desperate move of a cornered regime? Or is it the beginning of a checkmate that Washington, D.C. never saw coming? The official statement from Tehran was clinical, almost dismissive. They spoke of peaceful energy and scientific sovereignty. But the truth is never in the press release. The truth is in the whispers, in the encrypted chatter intercepted by the NSA's listening posts from Fort Meade to the Menwith Hill Station in the UK. The signal's intelligence paints a drastically different picture. It tells a story of scientists celebrating, of military commanders being congratulated, and of a new, chilling confidence in the highest echelons of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. For years, the global intelligence community has operated on a single, core assumption: that Iran's breakout time, the time needed to produce enough fissile material for one bomb, was a matter of months, then weeks. This buffer was the foundation of Western policy. It gave diplomats time to talk, and military planners time to prepare. That buffer is now gone. 90% purity is the universally recognized threshold for a nuclear weapon. There is no civilian application for uranium enriched to this level. It serves a single, terrifying purpose. This isn't just a technical achievement. It's a strategic declaration. It's Tehran kicking over the chessboard and daring the world to respond. Satellite imagery from the last 48 hours confirms the story the signals are telling. New surface-to-air missile batteries have been moved to protect the skies over the facility. The garrison has been tripled. The facility, already buried under 300 feet of rock and soil, has become a fortress. This is not the posture of a nation conducting a scientific experiment. This is the posture of a nation protecting the crown jewels of a weapons program, fully expecting an imminent attack. The White House knows it, the Pentagon knows it, and the clock is ticking faster than ever. But as military planners in the Pentagon began updating strike packages, something unexpected happened. Something that didn't fit the pattern. A different kind of signal was intercepted by a joint U.S.-Israeli SIGINT unit. This message wasn't from the Iranian government's official channels. It was a burst transmission, heavily encrypted, originating from a known IRGC hardliner faction, a faction that has historically opposed any form of diplomacy with the West. The message was decrypted. It contained only 2 pieces of information: a timestamp for 3 hours from now, and a single, chilling set of coordinates. LANT. Washington, D.C. is a city running on caffeine and adrenaline. The news of Iran's breakout sent an immediate shockwave through the national security apparatus. This is the crisis that has been feared for 2 decades, and it has arrived not with a bang, but with the cold, hard data of a leaked IAEA report. The response was immediate and kinetic. At Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, the ground crews of the 509th Bomb Wing were roused before dawn. B-2 Spirit bombers, the silver tip of America's global strike capability, were being prepped. Their weapons bays, capable of carrying the 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator, were being readied for a mission they were literally designed to execute: destroying hardened, deeply buried targets. It's a message written in jet fuel and steel. Simultaneously, in the eastern Mediterranean, the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, the most advanced aircraft carrier in human history, received new orders. Its eastward patrol was cancelled. It turned south, making flank speed towards the Suez Canal. Every sailor on that ship, from the admiral on the bridge to the aviation bosun's mates on the flight deck, knows what that heading means: the Persian Gulf. They are moving from a state of presence to a state of imminent action. This isn't just rattling the saber, it's unsheathing the sword. The options being debated in the Situation Room are stark and unforgiving. The playbook is well established. Option 1 is a surgical strike, a modern-day Operation Opera, using a combination of stealth aircraft and cruise missiles to decapitate the Fordow facility. It's quick, but risky. If they miss even one key component, the program survives, and Iran is left with a motive for immediate, furious retaliation. Option 2 is a sustained air campaign, targeting not just Fordow, but Natanz, Iraq, and the IRGC's command and control networks. This is more thorough, but it's an act of all-out war. The consequences would be catastrophic, likely closing the Strait of Hormuz and sending the global economy into a death spiral. This is the deadly calculus of modern warfare. But as the president and his top advisors weighed these unthinkable choices, the intelligence community was wrestling with a different problem. That cryptic message from the IRGC hardliners, the coordinates. The Pentagon's military planners have immense power. They can level mountains and sink fleets. But what if the target isn't a facility they can find on a map? What if the real threat is something they can't bomb from 30,000 feet? The coordinates were cross-referenced with every known database. They didn't match any known nuclear site, military base, or leadership bunker. They pointed to a speck in the middle of nowhere, an abandoned salt mine and processing warehouse in the Dasht-e Iran's Great Salt Desert. It made no sense. Why would a hardline IRGC faction, on the verge of achieving their lifelong goal of a nuclear-armed Iran, send a cryptic message pointing to an empty building? Was it a defector? A trap? A bluff? They had no way of knowing. And with the B-2s preparing to launch, they were out of time. A decision was made. The airstrikes would be put on a temporary hold. A team would go in, a Tier 1 Special Operations Unit, tasked with the most critical intelligence mission in a generation. Get eyes on those coordinates and find out what Tehran is really planning. This is the Shadow War, fought far from the cameras and the press briefings. The team being inserted is not a conventional force. They are ghosts, operators from the Joint Special Operations Command's most secretive unit. A specialized team whose primary function is counter-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. These are not just soldiers. They are PhD-level physicists, chemists, and radiological experts, who also happen to be among the most lethal warriors on the planet. Their call sign for this mission: Spectre. Their infiltration was a masterpiece of planning and execution. Flying napa the earth in modified MH-60 Stealth Hawks, they slipped under the porous coverage of Iran's Eastern Air Defense Network. They set down miles from the target, the sound of their rotors swallowed by the vast, silent deserts. The final approach would be on foot. Every grain of sand, every gust of wind, could give them away. The target warehouse was being monitored by IRGC Quad's force patrols, lazy and overconfident in their remote sanctuary. Spectre team moved past them like whispers, exploiting blind spots in their patrol routes that only a satellite and an algorithm could identify. The psychological pressure is immense. They are deep inside hostile territory, with zero chance of a conventional rescue if compromised. They are the White House's only eyes on the ground, the single source of truth that will determine whether this crisis escalates into a full-scale war. Their mission is not to engage, it's to observe, analyze, and report. To answer the one question that matters: what is in that warehouse? As they approached the perimeter, a new piece of intelligence was relayed to them, upping the stakes even further. The rehook comes in hot. Mossad, Israel's legendary intelligence service, just reported a massive spike in coded communications among Iran's proxy networks. From Hezbollah in southern Lebanon to the Houthis in Yemen and the Shia militias in Iraq. The message, intercepted and partially decrypted, was the same across all channels: stand by for the dawn of the final victory. Tehran wasn't just preparing to defend itself. It was preparing to launch a coordinated, region-wide assault the moment the first American bomb fell. The timeline for a peaceful resolution had just evaporated. Spectre team had to move. They breached a side entrance to the warehouse, a silent entry that left no trace. The interior was cavernous and dark, filled with the ghosts of forgotten industry. They moved in perfect synchronization, their night vision goggles cutting through the gloom. They swept the area. No centrifuges, no missile components, no signs of a weapons program. The building was empty, except for one thing. In the exact center of the floor sat a large, lead-lined shipping container. It looked industrial, mundane, except for the faint, ominous hum coming from within. One of the operators, the team's radiological specialist, approached it cautiously, his handheld detector extended. The device, silent until now, began to click. Slowly at first, then faster, the sound rising to a frantic, high-pitched scream. The needle on the display pegged itself into the deep red. They had found it. Not a bomb, but the raw, lethal material for one. But as they relayed this information, the team leader saw something that made his blood run cold. A tiny, red laser dot, dancing on the chest of his specialist. Then another, and another. The warehouse's floodlights snapped on, blinding them. The entire perimeter was lined with IRGC special forces, their weapons all trained on Spectre. The coordinates weren't a defection. It was a perfectly executed trap. The message from Spectre team came through in a clipped, frantic burst, Compromised. Pinned down. Target is a radiological device. Repeat. We are compromised. This is a trap. The calm, analytical atmosphere of the Situation Room shattered. The game had just changed in the most violent way imaginable. The IRGC hadn't just lured them in. They had captured America's most valuable intelligence asset on the ground. The Pentagon was now facing an impossible trinity of choices, each one leading to a potential catastrophe. Option A. The rescue mission. Launch a major combat search and rescue operation. This would involve F-22s for air superiority, A-10s for close air support, and a larger Special Forces contingent to extract Spectre. It's a textbook military solution, but it would mean a significant, undeniable U.S. military ground presence in Iran. It would be an invasion, no matter what they called it, and would trigger the very regional war they were trying to avoid. Option B. The surgical strike. Abandon the team to their fate and launch the missile strike on the warehouse. It's a brutal, cold calculation. Sacrifice one team to prevent a nuclear Iran. But they now knew the real prize was a portable radiological device. What if the IRGC moved it the moment they captured the team? They could be bombing an empty building while sacrificing their own soldiers, achieving nothing and losing everything. Option C. The unthinkable. Do nothing. Attempt to de-escalate. Accept the capture of the team and try to negotiate their release. This would be a staggering propaganda victory for Tehran. It would project American weakness on a global scale and allow Iran to proceed with its nuclear ambitions completely unchecked. It would mean calling Iran's bluff, betting the lives of the team, and the security of the entire world that this is all just an elaborate posture. As the debate raged, a new element paralyzed the room. A direct, encrypted channel opened from a source inside Iran. It wasn't the president's office. It was the IRGC commander, who intelligence believed sent the original signal. His message was not a negotiation. It was an ultimatum. He confirmed Spectre team was alive, for now. And then he revealed the true nature of Iran's nuclear breakthrough. The breakthrough was never about a massive, intercontinental ballistic missile. That was a distraction for Western intelligence agencies. The real program was about miniaturization and plausible deniability. They had used their enriched material to create a series of powerful, portable, radiological dispersal devices, dirty bombs, small enough to be placed in a shipping container, a suitcase, a delivery truck. The warehouse trap wasn't about the device inside it. It was a proof of concept. It was a demonstration. The commander's message was clear. We can lure your best soldiers into a trap anywhere on our soil. We have radiological material we can move anywhere in the world. The next trap will not be in the Dashti Kavir desert. It may be in Dubai or Riyadh or Brussels. We are not going to launch a missile that you can track. We are going to introduce a new form of terror, a radiological poison you will never see coming. The captured American soldiers are our insurance. If you strike us, they will be the first casualties. If you impose more sanctions, a port city somewhere in the world will become uninhabitable for a century. The nuclear age has a new, terrifying chapter. And the United States is no longer holding the pen. This is the new front line. A battle fought not with armies but with threats and shadows. The choices made in the next few hours will define the security of the globe for the next generation. We will be tracking every development, every signal, every move. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. You are not going to want to miss the next intelligence update from Breaking the